So this video is for drawing the chart for the option premiums, and we're going to be using Stata for this, and we'll download the data from Yahoo Finance. And for this, we need a user-written command called fetch Yahoo options, and you can actually find this code as well on the link on the description or through Canvas through our course. I use the force option for the net install, just so that in case you have this command already installed on your package of Stata, it would just simply make our lives a little bit easier just to replace it. So we're going to download the data using fetch Yahoo options. I'm going to be using Apple just because we actually talked about it in class so much. And I want to draw this for the next two maturities, and the first one coming up today is April 2nd, so the first one coming up is April the 21st, and then the next one is May the 19th, and two maturities would do. I mean, if you like to do three, that's perfectly fine. We don't really need to save the data per se, just not for this exercise, and all I'm going to do now is just to download the data, and I'm going to take a look at it to see if it downloaded properly. Takes about a minute, and then we do a browse, and then just to make sure that you have the data. And notice we have calls and puts for about 206 observations. If you actually get an error right here, most common is because you didn't install the command or that your maturities are not proper. Just so you know, you cannot download any historic options data. They have to be future-looking data. We want to use this exercise for, we want to have this exercise using call options, and you could choose to do put options, so just change that call with a put. However, it's imperative that you actually do not mix and match the calls and the puts together on the same chart, not for this exercise. So we're going to use the calls, and also you may want to limit the trading date to the last available trading date. In our case is the 31st of March. And just so that we don't have any leftover data that could actually mess up how our chart looks. So now that we downloaded all this, let's take a look and cleaned up in housekeeping. Notice how we have now about 62 observations with maturities of in May 19th and April 21st, all call options and different strike prices. And then now we need to calculate an intrinsic value. And intrinsic value is the maximum price of price minus the strike or zero, because you should not have a negative intrinsic value. It's an option when you're buying it, and therefore you would not accept a negative outcome. You would simply walk away from it. Now notice if you use a put option right here, you need to change this to strike minus the price. But since we're using the call option, we are using a price minus the strike. And then the premium then will be the ask price minus the intrinsic. Now, obviously, you could use the lost price or the bid price. It's just in my experience, for lecture purposes, using the ask goes a little bit, a little bit less problematic. So let's calculate these two variables, and we get no errors, so that's good, and we had no problems generating this. In fact, let's take a look. If you look at the last two, you see the intrinsic value, the premium right there, and notice how the intrinsic value can actually get to zero simply because we would not accept a negative value. Now we're going to draw the two-way chart. The first one is the line chart. We're going to use the premium strike, but we want the maturity to be equal to the April 21st of 2023. Now notice this has to equal to this, right? We want to make sure that we're drawing the chart properly for the data that we actually downloaded. And the next one will be, again, 23rd of May the 21st. Oh, actually, sorry. So April 21st and May 19th. And then the rest is basically copy paste. So, right. So now notice how we have certain data where you have these little spikes. It actually is supposed to be a little bit more um, less crooked, um, or a little bit more smooth. But these are just leftover data. It's the quality of options data, unfortunately. But notice how on the out of the money side, it's actually a little bit smoother. Um, Again, keep in mind that this is a stock at around $164 right now, and then the red is the May maturity, and notice the jump, and then the blue is the April maturity. Notice how this is actually a little bit less. So people are willing to pay more when the option strike price is at the money, which is at the current spot price, and then as we move away from that out of the money to higher strike prices, and then out of the money to the lower strike prices, the premium goes down significantly. However, notice that on the deep in the money side or in the money side, you actually have still a quite a bit of a premium. But when you go out of the money on the higher strike price, out of the money strike price, you actually, it reaches to a very, pennies. So again, this is a short video to show how we do the premiums or the premium chart for call options for two separate maturities. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.